last week we started the return of Rewind. When we look back and take a look at the movies that are celebrating their 10th anniversaries and their 20th anniversaries. And, last week we had a couple of good ones, including A Knight's Tale, also starring Paul Bettany and Priest. We had a couple of good ones. Well, guys, it's time for Rewind again, as we're going to look back at, on this week, the movies that are celebrating their 10th anniversaries and the movies that are celebrating their 20th anniversaries. And we're going to get started with this one, guys. Celebrating 10 years. Rob, it has been a decade since these movies opened. We're going to talk about here first Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. That's Pirates crazy. Of the Caribbean. That is 10 years old. Of course, this one I was really excited about because Ian McShane was starring in it as well. It's not great. The movie is not great. It had a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 33%. However, it was very financially successful, as most of the Pirates movies are, making $1.4 billion at the box office. So, yes, the first one we're looking at here is Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. Also celebrating its 10th anniversary is a movie with much, much better reviews, but I actually didn't like all that much, to be honest with you. But it is the Owen Wilson film, Midnight in Paris. I remember, Rob, when this movie came out, people raved about this movie.
I loved it.
Absolutely raved. You know what? I didn't like it all that much, but I'm obviously in the vast minority. He's got a 93% Rotten Tomatoes rating. And for a small little film, kind of art film like this, it didn't do too terribly bad. Made $154 million at the box office. So those are the ones turning 10 years old this week. We've got Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, and we've got Midnight in Paris with Owen Wilson. Of course, Owen Wilson, we're about to see him on Disney Plus in the new Loki series. So that's pretty cool to see. All right. Now, let's look at the films turning 20 years old that was released wide for the first time 20 years ago, Rob. 2 decades ago. Wrap your heads around this, everybody. Shrek. The original Shrek is now 20 years old. Of course, this went on to become an incredibly great and successful film franchise. The original one had an 88% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Honestly, I thought it should be higher than that. And the thing is, for the first one of its time, and remember, this movie came out 20 years ago, made almost $500 million. And the first one, $484 million. The combination of Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy's voices as Shrek and Donkey, just completely iconic and memorable forever. Shrek turning 20 years old.
That's insane, dude.
It's crazy, but so is this one. And this is my favorite movie on this list because this movie is actually, I talk about it all the time. This movie is in my, literally is in my top 20 all-time greatest films for me, personally. Top 20 all-time greatest films for me. And that is the incredible, absolutely remarkable Nicole Kidman, Ewan McGregor in Moulin Rouge. This movie, to me, is one of the most creative, visually stunning, just this kinetic energy to it that goes from the first frame of the movie to the last frame of the movie. You'll sing, you'll laugh, you'll cry. Dude, there's not a dry eye in the house at the end of this movie. This movie, to me, again, I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. I absolutely love this. Ewan McGregor shows off that he's got pipes, dude. Nicole Kidman, too. Like, they do their own singing in this thing, and it's absolutely wonderful. Ewan McGregor, actually, my favorite scene in the movie is Ewan McGregor singing to Nicole Kidman his version of the Elton John song, "You Can Tell Everybody This Is Your Song." And the way Ewan McGregor sings it, it's beautiful. I mean, I watch it. I'll just every once in a while pop that thing up there and just be completely swept away by it. Moulin Rouge turns 20 years old. So just to highlight again, guys, celebrating their 10th anniversaries, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, the one with Ian McShane in it. Also celebrating its 10th anniversary this week, the Owen Wilson film, Midnight in Paris. Celebrating 20 years, we've got the original Shrek. Everybody knows Shrek. And one of my personal favorite all-time movies, also turning 20 years old, is Nicole Kidman, Ewan McGregor in Moulin Rouge. Rob, That is a great. And by the way, there is one other I realized. There is another one that we missed that we forgot to put up on here. A little bit of a forgettable film. It's the Jennifer Lopez film Angel Eyes, I believe, is also turning 20 this week. Angel Eyes kind of came and went. It wasn't a very good movie. I think got about a 30% critic rating, made about $30 million at the box office. So there's also the Jennifer Lopez film Angel Eyes also turning 20. But we're going to be focusing on these four. Rob, as you look through these, this list here, you got Pirates of the Caribbean, Stranger Tides, Midnight in Paris, Shrek, Moulin Rouge. Like, what stands out to you when you start hearing that list of names?
Well, once again, I have to say how old I am and how much closer to death I've become. But I think that, like, you know, I'm a fan of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. I didn't love as much on Stranger Tides as much as I would have liked, but I really love the first and the third movies a lot, but I still liked it. And I love Midnight in Paris. I mean, to me, Midnight in Paris, I consider it a fantasy film. I mean, it has magical time travel, but I really like the message of the movie, you know, and the whole milieu of it, obviously Paris, and then going back and meeting these great figures from literary history, like F. Scott Fitzgerald. And I enjoyed Tom Hiddleston, of course, was in the movie.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
It's a delightful film. It's certainly wish fulfillment. And I can't believe it's 10 years old. I can't believe it's a decade old. I mean, I think about my life in decades, and that's a substantial chunk of my life ago. You know?
Well, how do you think I feel thinking about like Moulin Rouge being 20 years old? I still remember the first time I sat down to watch it. And now it's just stop and think that was 20 years ago. Like, oh my God.
I love Moulin Rouge. I mean, Baz Luhrmann really, I loved I call his Romeo and Juliet the Blade Runner of Shakespeare movies. And Moulin Rouge, while a lot of people felt it was overly kinetic and all that, to me, it was just I'm a big Baz Luhrmann fan. I liked Australia. I loved his version of The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot more than I thought. And I can't wait to see whatever craziness he comes up with his Elvis film, his Elvis biopic, you know, that Tom Hanks is in. And I, as an editor myself, I marveled at the editorial work in Moulin Rouge. And sure, it might have been hyperkinetic, but the music was great. His use of pop music, his cast, John Leguizamo as Toulouse-Lautrec. There's nothing about Moulin Rouge that I don't like.
Oh, it's awesome. And by the way, Ansh Banka in the live chat brings up a good point. It's like, that's right, with Tom Hiddleston in Midnight in Paris. I guess you could say Loki is a Midnight in Paris reunion movie. So there you go, because you got Owen Wilson in there. And
yeah, I see what you're there.
Anyway, guys, out of those films that we just talked about, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, Midnight in Paris, Shrek, and Moulin Rouge, what are the ones that stand out to you? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.